Can you hear me now? Okay. I don't know why OBS does this sometimes. I literally never change my settings. But every once in a while, it changes over to default. And even though the only mic I have told it is allowed to use on this whole dang computer is the one that actually works, it goes, would you like to use this other one that definitely doesn't work? So I'm sorry, I tried talking to you and saying hi a bunch. Ah, that's really frustrating. It's a broad answer for how I am. I'm good. It's good morning. I even talked about how I went and got a salted maple latte and how I normally don't really like salted stuff because salted caramel gets too salty, and I generally don't go for maple stuff because it gets too cloying, and this was a nice bonus between the two. Grr. All right, welcome everybody. Stupid OBS. Yeah, you. Yeah, no, the path is tough. Like Sauron is going to be much easier here, but yeah, that was maybe not the whoops, maybe not the smartest one to go for right away. Come on. Ugh, my fault. Don't even care that we didn't get speed boost, just needed to get the stuff off of us, get our prowess. That was the most diabolical light intercept I've seen in a while. Wait a second. I swear, did this one say dodging a basic hit, or did it just say dodging a hit? No, because Moon Knight's hits were triggering it. There's something wrong with this node. Because it says spirit cannot be gained or lost while the spirit gauge or during special attacks, but it was happening with Moon Knight. I also think that, like, I understand that that is technically clear, even if I'm wrong about what was happening during the Moon Knight fight. Somebody can go back and double check me for it. But, like, whoever wrote the string on this, just say when dodging a basic hit. Technically, the next sentence does clarify that it doesn't apply to special hits, but it costs you nothing to say basic there. Hey, Gloves. Not very nice, Katie. Not very nice at all. I must be getting that armor up from a synergy because I have never seen that before in my life. That's fine. All right. Yeah, like I think that the spirit nodes are interesting. I think it is a good design experiment. I don't remember being assigned any of these nodes in our internal playtesting, or I think I would have said that, like, I think all of them are just a little bit overtuned. And I don't mean the consequences are fine, but, like, given the way these paths work and the fact that you can't gain credit for dodging or well-time blocking a special hit, which cuts out huge chunks of the fight as far as managing. I'm gonna start timing people out for saying we could have had a 7-star Kate. I'm so tired of that. Move on. It's been 2 years. God. But like, I think that given how much tempo you have to give up to dodge or well-time block the basics this often, is just 15% isn't enough. And there's another one that's 20%, and I don't think that's enough either. Like, I just think like 5 or 10% more on all of these would make it more manageable. And it's not that it's too difficult to do the thing. Look, if I've gotten over it, you have no excuse. It's not that it's too difficult to do the thing. I think it just makes all the fights a little bit less fun because you have to spend so much time managing. Oh, that's interesting. The combo shield has that usual implementation error where it doesn't come back if you prevent it. I have done initial completion, yeah. And it's weird that the spirit nodes aren't protected from ability accuracy either. Like, I wasn't expecting to not have to play the game with Magneto. But also, I think you see what I mean with, like, the fact that it doesn't apply to specials at all means that actually managing this requires so much effort. Like, look, I get rid of 15%, and then in the time it takes me to get the AI to come and try and attack me again so I can dodge again, I've gained that much back. It's just too AI dependent. And again, it doesn't mean that the design isn't good. I just think the tuning is off. And I don't think it would... I think it would have been improved significantly if they had allowed one well-timed block or one dodge during specials to count. I understand not wanting to let me, like, get credit for 6 dexes in one special attack, because that's too annoying to tune around. But a single trigger per special, I think, would make them a lot better. This is what I mean. You, like, can't rely on them being aggressive enough to mess with this. Throw your special, buddy. Like, I probably just should have thrown mine. But I don't find this fun. And then it's animation dependent whether you can get credit for 2 in a single combo. I'm gonna keep complaining about this, because I think these nodes were not tuned correctly. There it is. Love it. No, you're definitely not, Dilly. I'm gonna ignore you too, but you're not alone. Thanks for the super chat, Jason. I appreciate you. Thoughts on rank 4 Black Cat? It's attack for next saga. I don't have a skill saga champion. So far, Nikokoya Misakura, then I need to pick attack double even harder. Yeah, Black Cat's great. The thing to remember about Black Cat is, number one, she needs the Black Widow relic. But the... Oh, man, I was hoping to have North Star for this. But the second thing to keep in mind is that... Right. Is that you don't have to do the really fancy stuff. It's worth practicing a bit. It's worth practicing your heavy counters of specials and stuff to get the triple triggers on her card and all of that. But if you literally just teach yourself to alternate punishing specials heavies, throw heavy attack, punishing specials heavies, throw heavy attack, then you can get what you need out of her. Especially if you pair her with long shot so that things start off better. I am unsure. Oh, and then OBS disconnects. Alright, hopefully the OBS disconnection didn't cost you to lose too much there. Hey, cat. That's her first evade. You get one. He's going to evade again, because I jinxed it, but it felt cool when I said it. So I realize this is probably a perspective difference, Aiden, because I've known for a long time now that Elder's Marks failed at their purpose. But are you actually really surprised that they're going away? The Alliance event, I'm pretty sure we said a long time ago that the Alliance event had numbered days. I think we said that when we retired the solo one. Hey, Elijah. Yeah. Only got one of the actual triggers. That's okay. I probably should have gone to the special 3, but I didn't want to. Whoops! Alright. Let's wait this out. It's annoying. Difficult to wait out when we don't have the passive stun, though. So let's ramp some neuros as we wait. Yeah. That's okay. Come here. Not what I meant. Cannot do long combos here. Cool. Not my best. That annoyed me. I thought I had that one. Yep. Okay. I just looked in exactly the wrong place there. Okay. Whew! Not playing well.
Why didn't you just use onset, DLL?
If somebody already typed that in the chat, I'm only slightly sorry for using the voice. Yeah, no, I always had enough Elder's Marks, Elijah, but I saw your comment earlier down that they weren't hurting anything, and from a game design perspective, you are wrong, but I will get to that. Hey, Miss. Glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, Cassandra sounds great for that. And Tony touched on exactly why the Elder's Marks need to go. That is the harm they're doing. Because the Alliance event is fundamentally broken. The Alliance event encourages grinding, and because it encourages grinding, it encourages tanking. And that is something that it is bluntly just difficult to actually discipline. Um, it is tricky to systematically isolate when people are intentionally losing. There are ways we could have built out tech to like follow that better, but it was a major pain point that like we said not to do this, people were still doing it. It was difficult to hit all of them for it, and bluntly we would have just had to ban a bunch of really large players because everything about the structure of the event said this is what you were supposed to be doing, even if we said you shouldn't. And because the Alliance event was just dominated by people who were intentionally losing, making the experience worse for everyone else because they were usually just matchmaking and then watching TV while their opponent had to sit there and wait out every single timer. Because it was dominated by that, we didn't want to make it better. Every time somebody said, oh, the Alliance event needs better rewards, no, it doesn't, because the people at the top of it are making the mode worse for everyone else. I'm not saying that like everything downwind of that wasn't great, but like that is why the Alliance event got so little love. Because the people who would benefit the most from us improving it were making the mode worse. And exactly, that's the thing. Then you want to remove the Alliance event, right? You don't want to update it. But if you remove the Alliance event, then what purpose do Elder's Marks have? Because that was the counter argument for why the Alliance event wasn't getting better, was when people were spending units on Elder's Marks, they go, well, why am I spending all of these units on Elder's Marks for not good enough rewards? And that's a fair enough question that the answer is kill both of them. Because the only purpose of Elder's Marks, bluntly, was for there to be a unit sync in playing Battlegrounds. That is from a design point, from a design standpoint, that is their only purpose. Is for there to be some limit on Battlegrounds playing that then requires units if you really want to go for it. And if 95% of the player base is actually playing Battlegrounds more freely because of this currency, and the 5% that is spending on Elder's Marks is making the mode worse for everybody else and simultaneously complaining that they need better rewards for doing so, then the system is broken. And that means it needs to change. Now, obviously, that's a big change, but like that's why neither the Alliance event nor Elder's Marks were long for this world. Aiden, do you know why people say exception to the rule? You don't design around exceptions. Like, good for you. If y'all were the exception, then yes, like you get morality points, but like that doesn't mean that the system should be designed around. And the point that I was making was not to tarnish y'all's reputation. The point I was making was that the system was broken. Yeah, and that is kind of an important thing in game design, Elijah, is that players will optimize the fun out of everything. There are so many systems in this game that have either never been proposed or have been retired because people will insist on breaking them. Think about how gifting used to be fun for those of us who did it properly. And then you had people who would abuse the early game units to have like 15 alts and give their end game accounts a bunch of free stuff, and it was never reciprocal, which was not the point of gifting, right? And that's why you no longer have the ability to go, hey, buddy, it looks like you're low on items. Here's a big potion so that you can finish out Alliance Quest. Because that's what gifting was originally introduced for, and that was cool. And we don't have that anymore because people don't let us have nice things. Elder's Marks are a victim of the same problem. Yes, Dilly, that's what they would do. Well, and that's the point, Aiden, is that like we can blame players for being cruddy, but it's also our responsibility if all of the incentives are pointed in the wrong direction to fix the incentives. And that's the point I'm making, right? Like, we can absolutely be upset with the people who are the reason that we don't have nice things anymore, but it's also a game designer's responsibility to set things up better. The energy thing, I don't want this to come a. Okay, sorry, this is a whole lot. I did not want to take this stream defending energy's role in mobile gaming, but I guess that's where we are right now, and I should have seen that coming. Breathing out, taking a moment to mourn the loss of the fun stream. Okay. There are two things to address here. I'm going to touch on Aiden's first because the reason. Nah, it's. No, because every time I try and say I'm not going to talk about a topic, unless it's like something that I have to put a really hard lid on, Cat, then just 15 other people are going to join the stream in the next 30 minutes and ask about it. So I will try and touch it real quick. I understand that none of y'all are trying to be argumentative, and I'm not upset with you. This is the big topic here right now, and I'll try and offer some insight and then get back to having some fun. Okay, two things. I'll actually go more in the other direction. I'll touch on Cedrus first. There is a risk that people will play less battlegrounds, but the point of energy in the first place is to impose some opportunity cost. Now, I am going to flat out refuse to have the discussion as to whether this game should have energy. Because that is a whole separate thing, and I am just, I'm not going to die on that hill because I don't have particularly strong opinions. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes into it. But if this game has energy, and the people in charge are currently of the opinion that it should, most mobile games do, then that energy has to have implied opportunity costs. You have to run out of it if you just play all the time, And you have to be thinking about what you want to do with the energy available. And energy refills in the game are really cheap. They just are. It's not that big a deal to sink them into it. No, you're right, Canuck. It's nobody's fault that this came out as I was starting the stream. Well, it's Mike's fault, but he can buy me a beer. Okay. So yeah, first things first. There being a pinch on energy is literally the point of energy. You don't have to like it, but like when people say, oh, the last 2 years, 5 years, whatever, I'm not going to argue about exactly when it was because bluntly it was probably different for different people and how they were playing the game. But when people say, oh, we didn't care about energy at all and that was better, you are allowed to feel that way, but that doesn't mean that it was better for the game. And it also doesn't mean that was like, yeah, it doesn't mean that it was better for the game, and it doesn't mean that that was the way it was supposed to be. Like, sometimes, as hard as our economy designers work, and as smart as they are, sometimes that things are just going to get away from them for a while, and that's going to put us into a place that is hard to come back from. A good example of this is the compensation after the input issues, leading people to feel that Alliance War just should be free to participate in, when that wasn't the case for like 6 years before that. And again, I don't want to get into a like morality based how things should be. I'm just discussing economic trends here. The same thing is true for energy. It was never meant to be trivial. It got to the point where it was. That was a mistake. So there being some pinch on your energy is intentional. Now, let's separately discuss the impact on Battlegrounds specifically, right? Because Battlegrounds was originally not designed to be played with energy, and that's part of why we're running into this, right? Like Alliance War and Alliance Quest have their own separate energy so that that opportunity cost does not extend to them. Battlegrounds was originally concepted to like basically only be the Elder's Marks, I'm pretty sure in the early drafts. But we wanted to make sure people weren't fully locked out after that, and so we wanted to give them the opportunity cost of the energy as kind of a backstop. That has obviously caused some problems because the like original currency they were planned around. Oh, shut up, Dawkins. Like, I'm sorry. Bro, the game is free. Do you know how hard we work to give you stuff you don't have to pay for? Somebody does have to pay. Yes. That is the model we're on here. There are no subscription fees for you to log in. You didn't pay to download the game. The money does have to come from somewhere because I am not independently wealthy, nor are any of my coworkers, and you kind of have to get over that part. Sorry. That was a little pointed, but like I think that eye roll was deserved. So the Battlegrounds part in between, basically the problem there is that because the Elders Marks economy failed, and they were only precious for some people and basically trivial and excessive for other people, that affected how like the energy economy felt as well, because people who were playing a lot just to play ended up using like running through their Elders Marks and then relying on their energy, and then it no longer became like the backstop. It was kind of the core of it, and that's another problem. So like we could go to Battlegrounds having its own currency, but I promise you that currency wouldn't be unlimited either. And so like that's yeah. Because I don't know what, and this is like the problem, right? I don't know what amount of daily free plays is appropriate in Battlegrounds, because if you set it high enough for people to be able to just stream for hours on hours and not require some units to do that, then it's also going to be high enough that people never feel the pinch elsewhere, right? Which was the fundamental problem with Elder's Marks too, right? And it's I'm gonna this is a tangent, but I'm gonna go on it for a minute anyway because it will be useful to some of you. This is the same problem I have with gold deals, right? The one time we had a sale with good resources for gold, some people liked it, but it was not good for the game because gold was precious for some people, and those people bankrupted themselves chasing the heavy rewards. And then gold was literally trivial for a bunch of other people, and there was very little in between. That anytime that happens, things have failed. Sorry, Mike. And so, like, I personally am probably in the camp that Battlegrounds should have its own energy cost, but I want to make clear that that itself is a bit of a fraught proposal because that cost will probably still be more than people want. It's not an issue of respect, Tim. It really isn't. Like, I understand that you think you're making a logical point, Dawkins, but it isn't if you follow it through. I knew this was going to turn into a fight. Like, I can't just say something and then people accept that I'm trying to explain something and move on. It has to immediately turn into, if I don't like this decision, then the company isn't respecting me. I mean, nobody has said slap in the face yet, but whew, the night is young. If you spending hundreds of dollars a couple times a year was enough for you to ignore all limits on how much you play the rest of the year, that would be pay to play, which you just threw shade at. Is that actually better? Or do you just not have a problem with pay to play as long as you are the beneficiary? Because let me be clear, you and I are in the same camp, right? I also spend several times a year. And so I would benefit from the system that you're proposing, right? If Battlegrounds was just free for people who spent more than X amount a year, you'd be fine. I'd be fine. Would the game be better for that? Probably not. I hear you, Cantona, but I think you came in later than when I said that the place the energy economy was in was not a healthy one and was not one we wanted to match. So it can, like, both of those things can be true, right? The daily quest costs a fair amount of energy, but you still need less energy to get through the through the EQ. You might be right, Cedra. Again, I don't want to defend the premise of making energy more of a constraint. I'm not putting myself on that hill. I am just explaining that the purpose of energy is to be a constraint, and this is why it works that way. Yeah, we could easily do something like that, C Note. But 5 free a day is not going to make people like Cantona happy. I hear you, Aiden. See, James, that's the thing that you don't really understand. This is a less drastic monetization tactic. That's the part that people don't get. And I really am trying to say this with empathy because I understand why you don't get it without being part of the actual development of a game. We are doing everything we possibly can to spread out how we make money. And you are complaining about that. I'm really fighting my ADHD here and trying to stay on one topic without responding to 7 more. And I think I'm probably just going to have to close the door on this. But like we have to make money somewhere and we get complaints about every single way in which we make money. And they are all mutually contradictory, and we cannot listen to you on all of them. Let me just run through this quick, and then we're going to move on. Because I am not an economy designer, I am not a game lead, and bluntly, this has moved outside of my pay grade. But really quickly, you want us to make major sales less important. That means money has to come from smaller areas. You as the broad player base, please don't take this personally, but yeah, I'll keep saying the player base. The player base wants us to do fewer large sales. The player base wants us to do fewer exclusive champions. The player base also refuses to allow basically any kind of baseline spend. We're told that people will stop playing the game if we monetize energy. We're told that people will stop playing the game if we monetize revives. We're told that people will stop playing the game if we monetize Alliance Quest, if we monetize Alliance War, if we monetize incursions, if we. What is left? Like, literally, I just want you to. You can say that we need to find other ways to pay our bills. But I want you to stop and really think without typing, because I'm going to I'm going to move on for a little bit. But really think about what you want us to monetize and how many people actually are going to pay for that. Because I think the harshest thing that I will say about players in general is that everybody seems to want us to monetize someone else. Everybody wants us to be creative and find some way to monetize that doesn't impact them. I understand that you got like, yes, spending should have an advantage, but I don't want it to actually mean that my roster is worse. Yes, spending should have an advantage, but I don't want it to actually mean I can't complete content. Yes, spending should have an advantage, but I don't want it to mean that I have to play less. Yes, spending should have an advantage, but it shouldn't mean that I miss out on exclusive cosmetics. Like, what is left? And I'm leaving that as a rhetorical question. I'm going to ignore responses. Uh, Not quite, Jason. The player base, in quotes, would like the whales to pay for the majority of the game, but they would like the whales to do it in a non-logical way that doesn't benefit the whales enough to actually put them ahead. And there goes my frickin' cord again. Come on, Elgato. Bad time for you to drop. Ugh, I hated that fight, Cat. There's not a great one. I think Spider-Punk is one of your best simply because you can get the easy intercepts and still do damage through block, but it's tough. I'm sure there'll be some sort of conversion, Gency. Like, the point is not to throw those things away. Thanks, Walrus. I'm okay. Just, I'll put this another way. I don't like being put on trial for the system of capitalism. I wish I didn't need any of y'all's money, too. I promise you, basically every game developer, anywhere, at any game that you can think of, would much rather just be making stuff to be fun. None of us want higher, or none of us want bigger cars, right? We just want to make enough money that we can retire sometime before our hands fall off. Woo! I mean, in being empathetic for a minute here, Cedra, like, it is kind of just the medium, right? Like, live stream chat inherently lends itself to a streamer getting overwhelmed when things get contentious. And I am better at handling that sometimes than others. And it's funny because it's actually a mirror to the way in which live stream has helped my public speaking. I used to hate the idea of public speaking, and I've gotten a lot more comfortable with it because of this asymmetrical relationship we have here. I can speak until I am done speaking, then read a reply, and then keep going, right? Like, generally, that is in my favor. When there are 8 different semi-angry responses to every new thing I say, the balance shifts. And in the long run, I can be okay with that. I could have handled it a little bit better today. Nice, Cat. I'm glad to hear that. It's like a teacher that actually knows what they're talking about. Thank you. I do appreciate that. Like, I really try to learn as much as I can from the other streams. Like, I'm pretty early on, I asked to be a fly on the wall in a lot of the econ meetings, and I'm in a lot of those channels because I want to legitimately know where they're coming from, right? Like it would be so easy to join a game like this and just see the econ and live ops people as the enemy, right? Like I just want to be an artistic designer. I just want to make things without thinking about money, but I can't because the big bad guys tell me I need to do something. But it's like that's not remotely fair, right? Like oftentimes the choice isn't really theirs either. They're just trying to keep us all working. And they're trying to do it in the most sustainable way possible because they none of them want to go looking for another job anytime soon either, right? And doing things in the most sustainable way possible means doing things in a way that is good for the player base broadly, but the player base isn't always going to agree. And it's a really hard job, and so I'm trying to learn as much as I can about it, and I want to be able to communicate with y'all on it, but it's tough. And I'm normally okay with disagreement as long as people don't call me a shill. That was fun. Okay, so we'll have to switch over most likely. Yeah, makes sense, Seki. The healing might be a problem with Iron Man. I'm not going to worry about it right now. I do want to try him out a little bit. Yeah, actually, rather than use an underranked Iron Man to punch up, let's just do the heal block thingy. But I'm hoping this is just the Viv show. Yeah, Cypher, exactly. And I am really excited about my November champion. I cannot wait to talk. No, I know, Cedra. I know that's never your intent. I don't think it was actual. I only think one or two people were actually being aggressive. And that's a pretty good rate, all things considered. And I'm sorry that I get animated. My wife makes fun of me for being very paladin brained. I get passionate and animated, and I will talk with a lot of heat and direction, even if I'm not actually angry at people, and it's difficult for me to control, and I do my best. And in some ways, these streams are good practice for me being healthier overall, but I'm not always on top of it. Am I the only one who can't log in? I at least haven't had the problem yet. We'll see. You can't be a shill if you work for the company. That doesn't make sense. Okay, well, implying that my opinion is motivated just by that. Uh, yeah, I am definitely curious about the Radiance objectives too, Jency. And that is one thing that I didn't really get a chance to say in the broader conversation about energy, is that, like, we are, again, with the assumption that energy should be a cap on opportunity costs. You don't have to agree with that premise, but I am cladding it in iron and we're not going to talk about it. With that assumption, um, we are confident that energy was too available before now. That does not mean that we're confident that this is the correct amount of energy, even after this change. Yeah, so like things could change further. I will, you know what? This is probably dangerous. I will take credit for a single thing and related to this whole thing. The idea that we take the energy refills out of the 4-hour crystals so that the energy would be more available elsewhere was mine. So if you hate it, you're allowed to be mad at me. But I think it will do exactly what the point was, which was, all right, we'll see if the loading screen hits. Actually, while we're talking, I'm going to go ahead and open Slack. But the point was that econ designers have to look at that energy in people's 4-hour crystals and see it as real energy. Even though players generally don't. Like, almost nobody opens those hoping for energy. And so my point was, well, if players don't see it as energy for the most part, but we have to respect it as energy as long as it's in there, then what if it just wasn't in there? Yeah. So I do stand by that, but that doesn't mean that's the last change that we're going to make. We'll see where it goes. And Infamous, that sounds fantastic. The China Grony. Similarly, I made a like vaguely Persian Negroni variation recently that I think you really would have appreciated. It was barrel aged gin, a saffron amaro, a little bit of Di Serono amaretto, and then sweet vermouth, and it was so good. You do, don't close your game. Yeah, I'm seeing it reported on Slack. Um, if anybody's upset with Karate Mike right now, Mike was the one who reported it, so you can appreciate him working on the weekends for this. Yeah, I think it's probably going to come down. Okay, so here's my question. Do y'all want to see me play something else while the game is down? I'm willing to keep hanging out, but let's see if this does anything. Woo, close. Yes, it will mean the drop rates for revives are better. Thanks, Infamous. Take care, man. Was he actually working on the weekend and just affected by trying to log in? I mean, when you make a point to open Slack and tag people, that counts as working on the weekend. Oh. Yeah, people must be here just because I'm live. No, Viv was not one of mine, but she came out the same month as Kate, so she couldn't have been. But I appreciate it. I like Viv's design quite a bit. I also will say that, like, it's kind of inconceivable for me for Viv to be one of mine because she is so classically her designer. Like, she's so obviously one of Mimic's designs because I consider his trademark when it comes to champions to be like trading resources for each other, right? You can see it really clearly if you look at Viv. Even his first champion, Black Cat, did this. Valkyrie ended up not being built around it as much because most people don't trade her stuff in for the stronger temporary passives, but it's there in Valkyrie. It's very clearly there in Atuma, where you trade hydration for concussions and vice versa. It's very clearly there on Vox. Yeah, I see that as Mimic's hallmark for sure. That's desperate. Okay. Dracula is indeed a Marvel character. It was interesting seeing him in Midnight Suns. Whoa! Forgot just how awful. Okay. The heavy can connect, but it ain't easy. Ouch. I know from your perspective it doesn't really matter, Jaden, but a fair number of these outages have not been our fault. Which means we get plenty frustrated too. I forget which one, but at least one of them was just because, like, Google servers died overall. Nothing we can do about that. All of Xsola went down the day that the current sale launched. That was cool. Y'all also have no idea just how hard we've been working on the disconnects issue. The reason that's mostly been better is because we're sinking a lot of resources into it, and we're continuing to. I don't think anybody's typed them all out yet, so I'll list them real quick, Zeki. In order, Absorbing Man, Kate Bishop, Photon, Kushala, Serpent, and the Luke Cage rework in the same month. Then Patriot, Deathless She-Hulk, Black Panther Civil War, Deathless Thanos, Jean Grey, Nika Minoru. Thanks, I see you. Yeah, it's tough. it can definitely be tough to recognize the difference between champion designers because we also learn from each other, right? Um, Cassandra Nova was Eclipse, who was their most recent one before that? Yeah, unfortunately, Aiden is correct. Actually, yeah, I think we're far enough along I can use this as an example. Eclipse is a really good example of why we don't tag everyone. Because I'm just going to go through this backwards. Cassandra Nova is Eclipse's. Before that, he did Lumitrix. I think everybody can agree those champions are quite strong. Before that, his most recent was Scream, who is fantastic. We go back further, and he did Arcade, Deathless King Groot, Bullseye, Gladiator, and Danny. And like that is a really good run with a lot of very creative gameplay decisions, great innovations. Like it's Eclipse is good at his job. And I will fight anyone who says otherwise. But like if you go from the other side, Danny launched good, but did need to be tuned up, and people focused too much on her matchup with Nick Fury, which was not the only thing that she was intended to do. Gladiator launched fine, but definitely needed his tune-up, is now great. Bullseye, people focused on the defense side of things. Deathless King Groot, I think, was kind of underrated. Was in that spot where people hadn't really caught on to the Deathless yet. Arcade needed to be tuned up. And so like if we had been putting out the designers on every one and people looked at those first 5, then I think people might have said some really nasty things to Eclipse. And then they find out that Scream is Eclipse's and they go, well, I guess this is just going to be another failure. And then they don't give her a real shot, right? And that's what we don't want to do. Because I think if you look at Eclipse's work overall, you see this is absolutely somebody who is an asset to the game team. And we don't want narrative to get in the way of that. Yeah, the game is definitely down. I'm just not kicked out yet. Thanks, Seki. Nico or Kushala is pessimistic. I am going to decline. Like, Nico has more topical power against a lot of cosmics, but Kushala hits a lot. It's okay, Dilly. I am not the head designer, no. I am firmly in the like middle of the pack on seniority at this point. Yeah. Eclipse is really big on variety. Eclipse is one of our designers who's most into fighting games and also is like our biggest comics nerd. And so he really tries to bring interesting gameplay, kind of inspired by innovations in more classic fighting games, along with really respecting the lore. And that is a difficult thing to do, which I think it's fair to say it took him a little bit to kind of find the rhythm between those two poles of his design philosophy. But once he did, like, it's why his stuff is really, really good. So, yeah. I don't think he would mind me using him as an example for that, but like that, you could make that point with a lot of people. Yeah, Honeydew is very, very good, which is Carolina's designer, to ICU's point. Yep, I remember that too, TC. People are rude. I mean, in slight fairness, and it is gonna sound bad if I say it as pushback easy, but we have such a collaborative process with our design reviews and our play tests and our code reviews and everything. Not to mention that we have a very strong balance team. It would be difficult for us to ship a truly irredeemable champion right now. Simply because, like, to use this as an example, there are a fair number of people in the community who, I've said this before, there are a fair number of people in the community who could do the job I was hired to do, which was associate champion designer, right? And a large part of that is the strength of the team around them. The onboarding and the support you have goes a long way. Okay. Specials are unblockable. I think we're probably fine to just go with Omega 7. Thank you. I wasn't even planning to do that, but that worked out really well. Gross. Lining that up with exactly 15 and 10 armor ups is pretty fun. Bet. Thanks, Cypher. I like reusing old mechanics. I don't do it every time, so I wouldn't call it like my signature or anything like that. But I think it's a tragedy when mechanics are only used once and then never brought back. Whoops. So I do try to make a point of that. Show would let us parry more in BGs. I mean, that is kind of why Black Panther does so much relatively uninteractable damage in his tune the way he is. Because it's like, yeah, he's a nuke that ignores a lot. But all it takes to shut him down is a parry punishment. So he ends up in a decent spot. Because I was already in when it went down, Zaryab. And I think it might also be because I haven't had to start a new quest. Alright. Take care, TC. There's also a decent chance I'll just be back later. Yeah, I would not do war fights right now, that's for sure. I don't know, Mike. That's kind of a tough one. Like, almost anyone you rank 4 will help prestige. That's not a big thing to focus on. And I don't know how important war battlegrounds are to you. Yeah. Yeah. Game is down if you're not already in. I'd seen some similar reports. Sorry. Ouch. Okay, gonna take a minute for us to get cauterized up. We're probably gonna have to special one spam here, unfortunately. I mean, it should work with the synergy just fine. Wait, why am I not pushing her to special 2? Next, come here. That's getting some damage in. Alright, bait this. Sorry, and then I will respond more. Need to stay alive. Yeah, basically, war rating was locked. War ranking was not necessarily locked. Hopefully that makes sense. Um, that means that your tier shouldn't change. That has nothing to do with your season placement. Winning and losing can still affect that. It's just that you will still get rewards based on where you were last season if that was higher. Then I think I would try 4 characters that work in both, Mike. And I realize that's a tall ask, but like, it means that I might take slightly slower Battlegrounds characters as long as they had some utility on defense or in war to balance things out. I wouldn't necessarily go just for the nukes a la Stark Spider-Man or something. Does Emma go up? No, nobody goes immune to plasma. Oh, nice. I'll take a look at that. It is funny that people have been asking about those rewards and now they're finally out. Nobody can get in. There we go, there's the armor break. Whoops. Why did I try to parry that? That was stupid. Oh, because she's not normally unblockable. That's where that came from. Oh wow, he puts himself so far back, I did not realize. I generally don't answer that stuff I see. No prejudice, I just... Whoops. Kind of to our conversation earlier, I prefer not to publicly grade my coworkers' work. And I know it's subjective, but people will not take it that way. Whoa, Emma. No, Cypher, because your points are based on your tier, not your rank. Matchmaking does take into account rank, but that'll get reset next season. So as long as your tier is not dropping, which it shouldn't be because your war rating isn't dropping, you should be fine. Hey, Bleezy. Okay, let's swap out. Yeah, I saw that coming. It was too slow. That was terrible timing. The ebb and flow here is not nice for us. There were some good moments in there. I am going to use the restroom real quick. And then come back and give thoughts on that. And did my Elgato really just come on, bro? Okay. One sec. Be back soon. All right, we're back. I try not to jump too quickly on anything. That is probably the fourth or fifth time I've used High Evolutionary on attack since ranking him. It does feel like he's asking just a little bit too much. It's close because there's a lot going on. Like there's a lot of really good utility. That's all fun. The severe is nice. Don't mind anything about this. That's all good. The attack stealing a burst of damage is nice. Yeah, I think. Nah, I don't mind the ramp, Aiden. I think having to ramp it up is totally fine. I think I have a thought on what I would like to see, but I'm gonna leave it alone for a minute. Keep reading to remind myself. I don't mind this part on the special one being unique to the special one. And I'm not even sure that you need to have a way to control when the passive expires. I think what I want is for this last bullet of the combo or of the evolutionary field part, the extra attack rating and the potency of the combo detonation. I think I'd like it to apply to the special 2 at half potency. I'm fine with the special 1 feeling better. I think it's cool for the special 2 to be the setup and the special 1 to be the payout. But you saw a couple times in that fight, I like couldn't quite get into special 1s, but I could, like, the field would expire and I could reapply it, but I couldn't reapply it and then get to the special 1. I would like a buyout there. Like, if the special 1 is what I'm aiming for, but if I can get the field back up and be in the special 2 when the combo detonation expires and I still get something for it, I think that would probably be enough. Does his or does his heavy have 2 hits? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it does. Because I was thinking that, like, the one other thing you could do. The game should be getting better because we are spending money to make it better. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect. My recommendation would be, if you're not getting in, close the game, wait a few seconds, and try again. So, yeah, I think that would go a really long way if I was going to add. Okay, buddy. Can't buy class. Um, yeah, if I think I was gonna add any other abilities, it would probably be that heavy canceling into a special attack um increased the tick rate of the combo detonation during that special attack. I wouldn't want a beta ray bill thing where you have to worry about, how you're starting your combos. I think that would add too much, but like I think heavy canceling is pretty opt-in, and that would work. Hold on, give me a second because I'm looking up who's on. Okay, well that document is old and not not helpful. Um, yeah, I don't know where a new one is. Hmm. Okay, give me 1 second. I'll just text one of the balance designers. Okay. Detonation timer is sometimes way too slow. Got the special one refreshed, but then I had to try so hard to not push myself to a special two. Yeah, I understand that. I do. And that's kind of where I'm going. Like, it's... The timer is what it needs to be, in my opinion. For, like, the split between offense and defense. And it's already a long kit, so I completely understand, given that you can theoretically manage things, why there's not more help. But I think what I just said would probably thread the needle. Okay, I don't have the rewards yet either, unless it's in the completed tab. We can look. I mean, that's not what I meant, but that's fine. Yeah, nothing's lit up. I mean, I'm not expecting to be anywhere near the top. I don't think you need that, Pablo, because the idea would be that whatever the tick rate increase is calibrated to basically be that, just with still a little bit of a skill ask. Yeah. Yeah, rank stuff always rolls out slowly. I'm not worried. And yes, I intentionally tried to pick an attacker-only trigger as much as is possible. Okay, so if we use a miscounter, we can ignore this one, but we would have Striker Lock and Special Lock. Special Lock we can be immune to, so somebody like Serpent answers a lot, and we're going to bring him because I reserve the right to be annoyed. But if we're trying to play around this, then we want to intercept. And I think this one I'm going to feel even more strongly about what I said earlier. I think gaining that rate and losing 15% when intercepting, it's just not going to be possible to intercept quite enough. So the obvious includes are my children. Let's go to the boss and figure out who else we want to bring. Yeah, of course, Pablo. Like I always try and resist when people say such and such needs a boost on attack because more often than not, they're wrong and they're just asking for somebody who's good on defense to also be stronger than intended on offense. But I will admit, playing with High Evolutionary a bit myself, I have felt a little bit underwhelmed. Like the utility is good, but the skill ask has felt too disruptable at the moment. Um, Given that when you get the payoff, it's good, but it's not insane. And so that's kind of how I'm balancing it. Because even if you make those two changes that I suggested, there would be places where he would feel bad. There would be places where it wouldn't really feel like you could do the thing. And that just, I'm not interested in fixing those. Because it's fine if he isn't perfect. Yeah, the damage is good. It is just a little frustrating when you don't get it, you know? Afternoon, John. High evolution. So, dual threat is a very loaded term. Because where do you draw the line, right? Like, what is the difference between a defender who has uses on offense and a dual threat? I imagine most people would agree that, like, Nico and Spider Woman are dual threats. Photon, maybe? Like, I'm sure you're going to find people who say Photon's too slow on offense. But, like, Does Serpent count? He's definitely too slow in a lot of places. Or are we expanding to... Yeah, like, it's tough. Before I respond with intent, I kind of want to do some work figuring out where you think the line is. Because otherwise I could be communicating something I don't intend to. But then what's the line there, Aiden? Like, I'm sure you have something in mind, but what do those mean? Hey, TC, welcome back. If you land a single refresh and then another detonation, it's pretty solid. Agreed. Dang it. Yeah, I intend to use Cole on the next fight. That one just felt too Thanos-coded for me to ignore. And see, Bullseye would definitely be too slow for a lot of people. Very subjective. Yeah, because see, 50k, Bullseye would not reach 50k against, quote, a large variety of defenders. Not without a meta that's juicing it. And Guardian, I don't know that I would call a dual threat because he's usually not that important of a defender. Guardian, to me, is more an attacker that you can place on defense. See, this is what I mean. Ouch. That's fun. Come here, buddy. Yep, and there we go. Not gonna touch him. Because he would go untouchable right in the middle of that. I just know it. Forgot there was still one left. Alright. Prowess, thank you. Alright. Nah, Bullseye's Fury definitely comes up on defense, Dilly. Yeah, I completely agree with TC. Medusa is an attacker who can be placed on defense. Medusa's not a dual threat, and this is exactly what I mean. A lot of people use a loose enough definition for dual threat, where they just mean goes in battlegrounds, will sometimes be picked for either purpose, right? By that definition, High Evolutionary was intended to be a dual threat, in my opinion. By a more strict definition, which I do think is a more important one to use, definitely not. And see, I understand why you're saying Serpent, but in my opinion, he's too slow to really get the title. In most metas, he is too slow. Ma'am. Okay. No! If she just ran into me there, I would have been fine. Oh, I should have manually gone into pod. I never think to do that. I just do it on accident, like a real mensch. I lost another medium intercept in this one, didn't I? Something definitely broke. Cute, Zephyr. How's it going? That is definitely not the definition of dual threat, TC. It was not Pablo because I checked her side and it was a medium. That's what the combo tracker's for. And I do hear you, Judah. I think other than Serpent, who I think is just generally too slow for too many characters to get the title, I do think it's a good list. Onslaught is honestly close, because it kind of depends, but enough metas juice him that I think I'm fine just giving it to him by default. Yes, Deathless Thanos qualifies. I will say I don't have any concern with y'all saying that Red Skull has fallen off a bit as a defender, but I do think you guys are skewing a little niche there. Yes, we have shipped good cosmic counters to him, but for a large portion of the player base, Red Skull is still a significant problem. Is that for you poking me on purpose? Is there a major reason why Bullseye isn't used more for Alliance War attack? He's used a fair amount, honestly. The biggest thing I would point out is that Bullseye has recently started getting more credit for his SIG, and a lot of people don't have high SIG Bullseyes just yet. His prestige is good, but it's not stellar. I think you will see more Bullseyes on attack because of prestige 30, but in a lot of battle groups, the biggest, highest SIG Bullseye is on defense. Um, and that means that he's just less valuable for offense. I really want to ramp Cull, but all of these early fights are not great Cull ramps. And it's like, I know somebody said that they used him, and that's fine, but this is just like not really. A lot of them haven't been super fun. I mean, this is better than Medusa for him, so I'll give it a shot. Yep, as usual. I haven't tried that dex in a while, so I'm bad at it. I'm okay at it when I need to be. There we go. That's what that prowess is supposed to do. Maybe could have finished it off. That's okay. Don't want to get hit by that special 2 again. We will take our time. Thank you, Sam. Block Prof isn't that bad. I don't think I have really big superior Iron Man ones, but why was I using Hulkling? There was a reason. Oh yeah. Because when he doesn't have the armor up, then the armor pen matters. And then I think this one is also... Yeah, like this matters when the opponent has armor that he's not getting through. And then this is big. I think people overstate how bad Cull's block proficiency is, honestly. And so I went full offensive for this one, and I have the like crit rate, stat focus, crit damage secondary here. And that's the important part. I don't think I have a big... Actually, this one could probably go on Cull. That would be a fair one to move. I think I got that after, though. Yeah, I'll move that one from Gallon. Happy to swap those. There was 100% a medium, Pablo. I'm 100% sure that there was a medium that failed. You and I may have been looking at slightly different spots. But that's what the replays are for. I'll check it later. Take care, TC. That was my fault. What? That's fine. Thanks, Usopp. I appreciate it. So that is probably a question for Marvel Cypher. I believe they have last call on that. But for a fair number of characters, they're just better known by their real names than by hero names that they only use sometimes, right? Like, yes, Nico goes by Sister Grimm in places, but you will very often go entire comics or even like several comics in a row with nobody mentioning that name. It's kind of like Jean Grey, for large spans of her history, was not Marvel Girl. Not really. And so, like, that's why she's Jean Grey. That's why Nico is Sister Grimm. Or is not Sister Grimm. It's difficult to draw the line, but that's very different than, like, Moon Knight, who every time he puts on the costume is definitely Moon Knight, even though the name Mark Spector comes up, right? Yeah, Nier's right. Ooh, excuse me. Why not? Let's see what he can do. Ouch. Alright, if I'd gotten one more set of armor breaks, I think that specialty would have killed. But that's alright. How did I not... Oh, that's right. She messes with stun accuracy, doesn't she? I legitimately just forgot about that. Hey, Junior. Yeah, like, if you check out Midnight Suns for Nico, she's referred to as Nico Minoru everywhere. The only mention of Sister Grimm is one of her unlockable skin sets is called Sister Grimm and uses, like, that older appearance. And that's kind of what would go on here. Wait. Nah. Thanks, Misty. I know about the immunity to armor break, but I'm still gonna try this. Oh yeah, no, Thanos would be incredible. I'm trying to have fun. Thanos isn't fun, I just use him. Oh, that immunity came at a terrible time. Oh, but of course it did, because I consumed all madness at the start of the special. Okay, this isn't going to be fun. Oh, that's unfortunate. If the madness was consumed at the end, then we would still have the bleeds up, and that would have been good. But armor break immunity breaks that then. Okay. That is fine. Light intercepts are so... No! Oh, because I couldn't use the special the way I normally do on Adam. Because it was locked because I wasn't dashing forward. Okay. That hurts. I was so close to getting the big Fury. That was close. Man, he has a lot of crit resist. I was expecting at least something in that final one. Yeah, I hear you, Easy. I'm still surprised Angela's part of mine. Spot here is diabolical. Like, it'll be fine. But that's... Thanks, Pablo. Not a great path for my roster, but let's see. Hmm. I know you don't have to use all skill, but I try and play into what they wanted, you know? My fault. We'll heal. That was late, wasn't it? Oops, I did not realize the timer was still up. Okay, you know what? We're close enough to the beginning. Go away, Miles. Ooh, I do like the Lumitrix shout. Okay, I'm gonna swap somebody for Lumitrix. Probably for Shang-Chi. He doesn't really fit. I actually don't know who you're talking about right now. Oh, never mind. Can't believe, of course. Why would Valkyrie be useless here? I'm just gonna dance for a little bit. Back up. It's almost like that's not what the word useless means ever. Oops, forgot about the pursuit. That hurts. Jeez. God. That was awful. Yep. Looks like it, Aiden. Oh, come on! It's not like there's anything incriminating on my page or on my screen, but like I turn off the game capture specifically to restart the game so that you don't see that screen, and then it does that. Rude. It's funny, Double B. Okay, I did the same thing again. So I can't do my normal. That's just gonna hurt. That's fine. Oh, this could be better. That's not the button. Also not the button I hit. Okay. That's 2 accidental strikers in one day. I haven't had this problem in a while. Okay. That's a very old reminder, Edward. Need to clear those out. It very well might be, chat. Let it happen. Wait. Oh, because I hadn't actually entered elimination yet. I was like, where's my miss counter? Forgot to use it. I like Elena. I may take her to rank 4 before too long, but haven't yet. Another anti-evade champion, harshing Lumitrix's style over here. That was my fault. No. It's gonna be close. Yep, didn't make it. Okay. Well, legitimately less damage than accidentally triggering the degen from stage fright, so I'll take it. I tried to press the striker to cover myself, but I didn't. Yeah, I'll agree with that, Cat. Okay. Call it and go get food here. Yeah, this is a bullseye fight again. Not dealing with that. Limitrix would be fun, but... Oh, come on. Like I said, hate this guy. Yeah, Lumitrix is great. Speaking of, let's try this one. Whoops. I was like, why am I going for the heavy again? I feel like I'm going for the heavy too much because I'm already ramped. Oops, I need it for the tracking. Oh, well. That's okay, Nier. They're very different than a lot of other characters, and that's not going to be for everybody. Ah, it was my fault. Combo party. I was like, why did I lose that much health there? Okay. Holding on to the special 3 until the next time Cement Shoes triggers. Bro! That light was, a word. Yeah, I thought about bringing Blade, but Lumitrix works well. Ouch. My fault. I'm slow right now, which is fine. I need food. As in, do you need all 4 of them for some big thing at the end that we didn't tell you about, even though we told you about that with Deathless? No. Ah! I didn't mean to, delay there. Would have been a lot better. Alright. Here comes the root. I knew that was going to happen. Ah, I was thinking about it as I was throwing the special too. I was like, actually, because reversal counts as a block, this is not safe. That's okay. Nice, Aiden. Oh, is it finally in? That's probably what this is. Yeah. I knew that was going to be bad. I missed a lot of points. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I'll be playing more this weekend, but that's good for now. All right. That was lively. Thank you all for hanging out for the discussion. Those of you who are still here for being respectful. And I will talk to you next time. Take care, everybody.